and shine. It's the Ravens Squad, sponsored by Gametime. Everything Baltimore Ravens every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the heart of Charm City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Flock together and squad up. The Ravens Squad Show starts now.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Ravens Squad Show. I'm your host, Samuel Njoku, joined as always with Kevin Oestreicher, Mr. Locked On Ravens himself. We're here for a new week in the season. Training camp is about to start. The rookies are going to come in starting tomorrow. So very exciting time if you're a Ravens fan, because this is going to start the trend towards a championship for the Ravens, hopefully. In this episode, we're going to be talking all about the Ravens. We're going to be talking about the Ravens rookies as they come into camp, our thoughts as it pertains to that. We've been talking about the ESPN rankings. We all saw it if you're in social media, where the Ravens ranked in certain positions, quarterback especially in that regard. I know a lot of Ravens fans are talking about that. And then we're going to conversate about our rankings last week with the secondary and stuff on defense, and then the receivers and quarterback on offense, where each of us, including Q, who is not in today, had for our show last week. So that's going to be great. Just want to let you know, of course, that this episode is going to be brought to you by Gametime. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. So great time again to be a Ravens fan. But before we get started, our first segment of the day, actually we have in Ravens legend Mark Clayton, who joins the show for us. Big time Ravens legend, high on the receivers list. Welcome to the show, man.
What up, Sam? What up, Kate?
Man, I'm pumped, Mark. I can't lie. We got the rookies coming in tomorrow for the Ravens. I mean, look, it's a great class, but I think the thing that really excites me is the fact that the Ravens didn't lose too much and they added some talent here. And you obviously being a former receiver, I got to ask you about D-Hop to start this off, man. DeAndre Hopkins coming in. He's a vet. He knows his way around. And Lamar Jackson clearly wanted him on the team a couple of years ago. Now he gets him. But what does D-Hop bring to this team, and how important is it for a younger core like with Zay Flowers and Rashod Bateman to have a vet like D-Hop, like Baltimore had a couple of years ago with Odell Beckham Jr.?
Yeah, and that was huge too. And now with D-Hop, though, is trust, reliability, and experience. You can't freaking beat it. And it's like, when you get in the receiver room, you're going on that championship run, it's just always good to have that truly reliable target like that, especially with the young talent that's in there and only going to go up from here.
I think the big thing, too, with DeAndre Hopkins is you're not asking him to come in here and be the wide receiver one for this team. You do have guys like Zay and Rashod Bateman. DeAndre, I think, can play really well off of those guys. Not only that, Mark, I think with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely and all the talent they have, it's going to be, I think, a better year for D-Hop, because I think you can scale back his role while also letting him shine in the moments where he needs to.
Right.
But then you got Rashod Bateman. And Rashod Bateman gets his extension, 3 years, $36.75. We actually just saw Garrett Wilson of the Jets today get a massive deal, over $30 million annually. So Bateman's deal feels like a steal to me. But definitely. I remember talking to you last year, and your message to Rashod Bateman was just to play his game, be himself, and trust in himself. And we saw him have a career year. I mean, what did you see from Rashod this year, and how happy are you that he was able to parlay that into the deal he got?
Bro, I'm so excited for him. And I mean, it's just any other guys that has got in and went through things that he's went through and dealt with everything he dealt with and was able to put a season like that together. And then just be a program guy, just the respect that he's gotten around the community in the locker room, huge. And so it all paid off, and I think it's going to pay dividends for us this year.
Yeah, Mark, you are one of the few Ravens first-round pick wide receivers. You know what it's like to come into a system like this where you're not really asked to catch the ball 15 times. You're not throwing the ball a whole bunch. To have a guy like Rashod Bateman who has been in that grind, it's not easy. We had guys like Hollywood Brown who came into the system, didn't really care for it, didn't really have the success elsewhere, but still fans understand the hesitation to be in a system like this, but to still perform like Zay Flowers and Rashod Bateman has. It must feel good for you, someone who went through something similar in Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes down to leadership. When you got that type of leadership, you come in and they're going to make sure, there's some pressure on, but they're going to take the pressure off, because it's a team game, and we just, I mean, with our management and what EDC and everybody's done to build that team, there's so much talent in there that nobody has to be the hero. Like Lamar is going to be the hero because that's freaking Lamar. But at the end of the day, when it comes to pass catchers or running backs or whoever has the ball in their hands, it's by committee, and we got people that can get it done and at every phase or at every area of the field. And so, for Zay, for Bay, for Hop, for Mark, for Isaiah, that's I mean, it's going to be fun. And, and it gets fun when you just want your boy to do what, like, everybody's making a play and you just rooting for him to make another play. And everybody just, it's just going in the circle. Like, we all just rooting for everybody to make the next play. And that gets really fun. And as it gets deeper into the season and plays me more down the stretch, I'm just, looking forward to seeing the growth in our receiver room, as well as the value of Hop showing up late in the season when we need some, plays we made down the stretch.
Seems like the Ravens have done a little bit more to get over that hump that the Ravens have, tried to get through. It seems like since 2019, especially 2023 and 24. How excited are you for this upcoming season? Because it feels like fans just feel the anticipation of them finally getting over that hump. Do you feel the same way? Do you think they've done enough to push through it, or do you think it's just going to take a little bit of luck on our end to get over the hump?
I think with every organization, it takes a little bit of luck. Like, it's hard, dude. It's freaking hard. It's hard to win a championship. It's hard to win the AFC championship, and it's hard to win the Super Bowl. And so the best thing you do is put as much talent on the field as you possibly can, and talent with chemistry. And I think we've done a tremendous job. And, if our season isn't off to, unfortunate but fortunate start with Malaki being our first pick, and sadly having the injury this offseason. And then, ultimately he's going to have to step up. But we have probably the best defensive player, arguably, maybe the top two defensive players, arguably, in this draft on our squad in our first two picks. And so that pick will, hopefully pay dividends in something that we didn't really expect for it to, have to be involved that early, that much. And so, here we are, beginning the season, and things are looking bright. And it's like the moves that we made in the offseason are making sense. And so I'm just excited to see how it all plays out.
Now the rookies, Mark, they're coming in tomorrow, and I want you to take me back to 2005. You're a rookie. You're coming into training camp for the first time. You're ready to contribute, make a name for yourself. I mean, can you take us back into like what that experience was like for you heading into that, meeting your teammates, and continuing to build up to the season? Like, what's that like as a rookie?
Man, it is like, I mean, and I'm sure the guys have, because you just want to prove yourself amongst your peers. You just want to prove that you are that dude, like, and you want to make a name for yourself, especially guys that didn't get drafted or they're later round. Like, you just excited to have the opportunity to make a name for yourself. And then being the top guy, you want to make sure that they know they didn't waste that pick. And so me getting in there with the type of veteran leadership we had, Ray, Ed Reed, Prime was still there. Like, that was incredible. I mean, from Samari Rowe, Chris McAllister, Dale Carter, that vet, 13 years and up in the secondary with those positions, that was like football heaven for me, like going into as a receiver. And so it was, I was excited to get in and make my name really known and let them know that, I'm gonna be a contributor to the organization, and I want to be a part of what is giving us a chance to win championships. And so that excitement, you're probably gonna be a little antsy and rushed a little bit because you're just excited, you're anxious to make plays and get in there and get after it. And so getting through the first couple of days or whatnot, you'll be set, and then the nerves will come off and the anxiety will go away, and you just be in camp, which camp is a little different nowadays, which I wish our camp was. Actually, they called it Camp Sharman.
I'm about to say, I remember.
Now that I think about it, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. I actually got in there a couple days late because we had a little contract thing that was going on, and I just remember, Ed telling me like, bro, just go hard. Don't worry about it. Like, just go hard. Coach gonna take care of us. And he did. He really did.
Yes.
He took great care of us. So I would say our camp back then was similar to kind of the camps they are today. And that gives you the freedom to just fly around and not worry about being fatigued tomorrow because you're doing 2-3 hour practices for the first 3 days. Gosh, that sounds so like
That's crazy.
heavy. That's heavy. Anyways, but so yeah, the excitement that you have, you can just go let it rip and just have fun, man. And I mean, you're getting to take your first practice snaps in the NFL. That is awesome. Like it's awesome.
That's great. I think Brian Billick's training camp was a little more lenient than John Harbaugh had. There was some contention
Yeah.
between the vets because of that shift, but ultimately helped them get a championship. The Ravens were and the fan base were starving for a receiver when they drafted you in the first round way back when, and there was a lot of pressure to come at you with that. How did you navigate that pressure? Did you feel that pressure coming into training camp as well? And did you use it to feed you, or did you try and put it in the back burner to get set for your first year as NFL pro?
Yeah, I have probably put more pressure on myself than anybody could, and I just was known for working in one of the grinders, and I feel like I would have been a solid Gruden grinder, second team, whatever. But it was like that was just normal, and so I put it on myself to know the playbook like the quarterback knew the playbook as a young pup, and that way they knew they could trust me. And then when I got the ball in my hands to just make plays, however you got to do it, just make plays, turn short catches into long catches, or convert third downs, convert fourth down, just step up and make the plays that are there to be made. And I think that pressure was sufficient for me and led to a solid rookie season. And I would have liked to got the ball a lot more, but it was what it was. And we had a fun season. I think we won 6 games that year. It was probably the funnest with that locker room that I've had in the NFL. But I learned a ton and was able to me have a successful rookie season because the guys around me and a lot of that veteran leadership taking the pressure off of me, the pressure I had on myself. Really, they were like, dude. I remember Coach Fossil Jr. He was like, man, I would try to get in there Mondays, even on Tuesdays, and do work. And he was like, look, man, take the day off. You need it. It's a long season. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm just going to do a little more than everybody else. He was like, dude, this season is so long, bro. You're going to need this day. Sure enough, as the season got later in the season, I get home at 3 o'clock. I would crash to essentially midnight and be up. I'll watch film and then take a nap and then go to the facility in the morning. And I was like, man, dude, you're right. This is a different kind of season. And so with that, I just say, like, man, for myself and guys that are like me who really want to prove it to people and that put a lot of pressure on themselves, even more so than what comes from outside voices, is like, man, you're okay. Like, don't. It's okay to figure it out. It's okay to mess it up. You're not gonna make all the plays. It's okay. It's okay. You're learning. You're growing, and your brothers, they got your back. If you don't make a play, somebody else will make a play. Somebody's not gonna make a play, and you're gonna be able to bail them out. And that's the beauty of it being a team sport and a team game, and having a good group of guys around you that just support you in that.
I'm curious to hear too, because you talk about the vets you were surrounded with you being a rookie and how they were telling you, all right, this is how it's going to be. Don't worry, don't stress about this. How did that help you find your voice later on in your career as you kind of got acclimated to the NFL life and you kind of transitioned from a rookie to a vet? Do you look back on your interactions when you were a younger player, first year, second year guy, and said, man, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have these vets around me right now? Is that kind of where you were?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because there's a lot going on, things moving fast, and all that, and you're adjusting to schedule and how you travel and the game day optics, and it's the NFL. That is an adjustment, but it's not. It's not so much of an adjustment that you're not able to just be you, to just perform, to be the player that they saw when they were scouting you and why they brought you in there in the first place. But some of the kind of emotional, part to it, you'll have to work through some of that. But ultimately, man, it's like I already say, man, it's just football. Like, man, it's just football, dog. Like, at the end of the day, they got, different play names, different playbooks, and, it's all that. But at the end of the day, it's just football. And so that part, like, gets you just grounded and where you can just go out and play your game.
That's awesome. Well, Mark, I appreciate you so much for joining us on the show. Live stream, it's crazy.
Great to see you guys, man. Yeah.
Great to see you again. We got to get you back on when the season starts for sure. But before we let you go, let the folks watching and listening at home know what you're working on.
Hey, well, hit me up. Well, not only hit me up. Go over to liveaudio.com and check out what we created. It is the best workout headphone in an over-ear that you have ever seen and worn in your life. I promise you that.
It's awesome.
For it.
It is awesome.
It really is.
I got me a pair, guys. Cheap plug. I got this as soon as I could. Been working out with it. Even for leisurely stuff, I've been using it. It sounds awesome. Fits in my head awesome. So I'm very happy for you, Mark. And, I'm enjoying the product. So
absolutely.
Thanks, man. It's been a hell of a road in development. If anybody's out there like in product development or they got product or whatnot like that, and the grind that it takes to kind of go through the process and the iterations and dealing with software and all the electrical, like it is a grind, but it is sweet when you figure it out and you get it done and you deliver it. And it reacts, or the experience is what it is. So we're excited. And so we're moving them into the market, and the response has been tremendous. And so we're just looking forward to having an awesome fall.
That's awesome. Well, appreciate you again, Mark, for joining us.
Appreciate you, Mark.
Thanks, been awesome.
Appreciate you guys. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all later.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right.
When we get back, we will talk more about the Ravens rookies as they're coming in to training camp. It's going to be a great time in Baltimore if you're a Ravens fan, but we'll touch on that a little bit more next on the Ravens Squad Show. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to use your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with the killer last-minute deals. With Gametime, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees, and no Ravens fans. You know more than anybody how it feels to get a ticket. You see it online from those third-party sites, and the price just increases. All the hidden fees and taxes and whatnot. Now with Gametime. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. We are back with the second segment of our show, Raven Squad Show, where the rookies are taking center stage in training camp. Very excited about it. Kevin, I'm going to let you start off this show talking about the Ravens rookies because I'm excited and I don't want to say too much and jumble too much. You're the Locked On Ravens expert. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ravens rookies come into town tomorrow, or I guess get back in the facility tomorrow, and I always say you get these check boxes throughout the offseason, free agency check, draft check, rookie minicamp check. We're checking through everything, and now we're so close. I know it's not going to feel the same as when the vets come in. Like, I get that. I appreciate what Mark was talking about with the rookies are going to come in, they're going to try to prove themselves, and this is the first step and the first opportunity for that. But I'm pumped to see Malaki Starks. I'm pumped to see Mike Green, and Mark kind of talked about that a little bit too. Like, these are two high-profile, in my opinion, instant impact winning players that the Ravens got here in the first and second round. Both of them were top 15 for me. Now, Nicky Manwari was 14, but that's beside the point. All right,
That's why I let you start the show.
They got Malaki, and I love Malaki. Like, honestly, it was 1A, 1B. I would have been happy with either. I'm glad they got Malaki. But I think, to me, it's not just about those two, where obviously we heard and saw that Tyler Loop struggled a little bit during the end of spring practices. Hopefully he's able to shake that heading into the training camp portion of this. We've both talked about LeJontay Wester, and Q has as well, about, the role that he could have this season. I think Aeneas Peebles is a sneaky guy to have a bigger role than some people anticipate. I'm not sure how much Emmy Jones is going to play, but, maybe he'll get some maybe he's their sixth offensive lineman. He's in that competition with maybe a Joe Noteboom. Maybe that's what that is. But yeah, I mean, it's super exciting where I think you're able to add on. And as I mentioned in the first part of the show there, talking with Mark, they didn't lose a lot. Like you add all this influx of talent. We know that the Ravens, they made their free agent additions, Jaire, DeAndre Hopkins, et cetera, et cetera. But the rookie class coming in, if they can get that impact that they got from Nate Wiggins and Roger Rosengarten, from Malaki Starks and Mike Green, I mean, it's going to improve their Super Bowl chances exponentially because of just how good they can be. They haven't played a snap yet. We don't know what they're going to be at the NFL level, but we can make guesses. We can make, I would say, educated guesses off of what they could be based off what we saw from them in college. I think those two are going to be such good players, and I wouldn't be shocked if we got that same impact from them again here.
Yeah, I'm taking a much more optimistic approach. I am almost infatuated with the play of Malaki Starks in Georgia. I think he's going to hit the ground running. I think he's a great compliment to what Kyle Hamilton does and a great remedy to the issues that the Ravens had in their secondary in 2024, at least in the early portions. The Ravens were undisciplined. It seemed like they didn't know where they were supposed to be, where they were going. You're not going to have that problem with Malaki Starks. Sometimes you have rookies who just don't have the athleticism to get where they need to be fast enough, don't understand the speed of the game fast enough. But from what we heard from other players who've already worked with the rookie so far in mini camps and OTAs and what we've seen from him in college, it just seems as though Malaki Starks is going to be a match made in heaven. He may not be the playmaker that we've seen with the likes of Ed Reed or Kyle Hamilton here in Baltimore, but I still think that what he's going to be asked to do, he's going to do very well. And that's be where you need to be, prevent the deep ball from getting to you, stop the tight end from wreaking havoc in the middle of the field. And so I think we'll see that level of play from Malaki Starks just, eat up to the hearts and minds of these Ravens fans. As far as Mike Green is concerned, he's in a similar position to what Mark Clayton had when he first came in the Baltimore, is that the Ravens have been dying for a premier pass rusher, a 3-down, everyday pass rusher, the likes of Terrell Suggs. We haven't had it since. Jared Johnson was a guy who can, he's good at stealing the edge, but to have a guy who can go after the running back and go after the passer, 3 downs, not to lose a beat, is something that we haven't had since the prime days of Terrell Suggs, really. And so I'm very excited to see what he can do. He is a little bit more of a, you had to wait and see approach because he was very relentless in his time in college and was sometimes, even out of position on some plays. Haven't had those type of situations occur so far in rookie minicamp and OTAs based on what I've heard from various sources. But, that's something that you want to keep an eye on if you're a Ravens fan. And then we mentioned Oestreicher. We talked about that on your show a few weeks ago, how I'm very excited for Oestreicher. I think that he could be a gadget player that really takes the league by storm. That's very optimistic of me. I have no reason to think that, just based on the skill set, but that's just me being a fan, just hoping to tinker a little bit with what Monken has in store for this Ravens offense. But yeah, I'm very excited for this rookies for sure as they come into camp tomorrow.
Yeah, the thing with Mike Green is, you mentioned the whole Terrell Suggs aspect of it. I mean, I'll look at it I agree with you, first of all, but I want to even look at it from a different perspective. And I know we've talked about this, where every team in the AFC North has the guy. TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, I guess, is still in Cincinnati right now. I don't really know what's going on with that, but I'll say Trey Hendrickson's in Cincinnati right now. The Ravens, they don't have that guy. Odafe hasn't been consistent enough, and last year was the best year of his career. Kyle Van Noy's been really solid for them, but I'm talking like generational potential, someone that can come in that 20-plus sack, 18-plus sack, 15-plus sack potential at the very minimum. Mike Green absolutely does have that. And I mean, look, you talk about him as a 3-down player. This is not someone who is just going to be a 3rd-down specialist. And I think the most recent example of that is Justin Houston a couple of years ago when he was literally, they brought him in. That was, you're not coming in on early downs. They'll throw him in coverage situations, but they're not going to throw him in there on running downs. I think that Mike Green has the potential to come in here as a 3-down guy. We know he's sharp against the run. And people will say, oh, he went to Marshall. He went to Virginia. These aren't these Ohio States or Alabamas. Well, turn on the tape and you'll see Mike Green dominating Ohio State and dominating some of those Power 5 schools. Like, he has the tape. He has the build. He's a speed to power guy. And I think as he honestly adds on more power to his game, I mean, I can't even imagine what it could be like. Again, he hasn't played a snap yet, but maybe I'm feeding into your optimism a little bit here, Sam. And I know that we talked about this. I made a whole short on it for social media where I think that by the time week 1 ends, Mike Green could already be the Ravens' best pass rusher. That's kind of my bold prediction. I did it a couple of years ago with Zay Flowers, and I've told you that story. I know, and people know it,
Right.
but yeah, I said, hey, Zay Flowers is going to be the best rookie or the best wide receiver on the Ravens by the time the season ends. And he was the best he was the best wide receiver by the end of the first week. So Mike Green is awesome. And this is a good point here. Yeah, I mean, the fact of Mike Green being a rookie is you have him for at least the next 4 years. We know that the Ravens can't keep everybody. They're going to have to make some very tough decisions. And with the way that consistent pass rushers are getting paid, if Owe can do that this year, I mean, we saw Nnamdi Madubuike have the year of his life during a contract year. He bet on himself and it worked. And he was probably going to get that 3-year, $30 million deal before the season. He parlayed that into almost $100 million. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there, Sam. But I'm not sure Owe stays beyond this year. But luckily, they do have a guy like Mike Green waiting in the wings here.
Yeah, and I've got some pushback from some Ravens fans saying, why do Ravens fans always say that, when a player's on his contract year, he prices himself out, keep the good guys. The Ravens have so many great players coming up on contract years. Tyler Linderbaum. We talked about Kyle Hamilton. Lamar Jackson needs an extension right away. So that's going to be right now $75+ million cap next year if they don't sign him to an extension or void some years on his contract this season. So there's so many great players upcoming. Isaiah Likely we didn't even touch. The Ravens don't have any tight ends in the contract after 2025. So many great players are up for contracts, and if you want to keep some of them, you're going to have to move some guys, out of your purview mirror, so to speak. And Odafe Owe hasn't been that consistent force. That's why the Ravens went and got him, Mike Green. They did in the second round out of Marshall. So we'll see what happens. Odafe Owe, obviously, if he has 20 sacks this upcoming season, or is he the sack leader, the Ravens may have no choice but to re-sign him. But it just seems
20 sacks? Yeah, you're re-signing him.
Exactly. He looks like the Incredible Hulk when we've seen the pictures of him so far in the offseason. So maybe he does have those sacks. Maybe he does put it all together. But it just seems as though he's played his last season in Baltimore. We're seeing these guys get huge contracts after these big contract years are fulfilled. We've seen what happened with Garrett Wilson. He got a huge contract, $32.5 million. So the market is only going up for these players. And it just seems as though a guy like him will price himself out of Baltimore. I want to ask you, Kevin, about, excuse me, if there's any other players besides, Mike Green and Malaki Starks that you're excited about coming into this training camp that maybe a lot of fans aren't really talking about.
Yeah, I mentioned Peebles a couple minutes ago. I think he was my favorite day 3 pick, and I kind of mentioned it. And actually, I talked about this yesterday on Locked On Ravens, or I guess today, losing track of my days. But I talked about it today where Peebles, to me, he's not going to be a 3-down player for you. He's a little undersized, and that's why he fell in the draft. But as a pass rusher, his metrics graded out among the top out of his position group in this 2025 draft class. But I think that, and I personally don't care as much about how tall you are or how big you are at a certain position. Like, if you can play, you can play. That's why I didn't care when they drafted Tyler Linderbaum at the center position, and everybody's talking about his arm length and, his size being smaller. Linderbaum is one of the best, if not the best centers in the league. There are a bunch of guys. People ragged on Darius Washington. He was a projected 3rd-round pick in his draft class in 2021. He fell out of the draft due to his size. And look at him making an impact. And hopefully he's able to get back soon. So Peebles, to me, is probably just going to be a pass rushing. He is a pass rush specialist. That's what it is. But I think that you can use him in tandem really well with a guy like John Jenkins, which I think is really intriguing because, as I know we've talked about, Sam, Jenkins does not have the pass rush ability that Michael Pierce did. I think that both those guys are stout run defenders, but Pierce just brought it a little bit better as a pass rusher. I think Jenkins is your typical early down run stuffer. You put him on 1st and 2nd downs, obvious run situations, and then when it's time, hopefully it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and long, that's when you bring in a Peebles. And look, I think Travis Jones is going to have a huge role this year. I don't know how many snaps are going to be available for guys like Peebles or Broderick Washington, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, obviously Madubuike is there as well. But I think the Peebles, to me, could maybe have a sneaky 5-sack season, 4.5 sack season. I'm not expecting him to go double digits or anything, but someone who people aren't maybe talking about as much, I think he's a guy that intrigues me.
Yeah, Andrew mentioned Teddy
Cool. Good one.
being a starter
Yep.
next to Roquan week one. I still think they're going to give Trenton Simpson the best chance to do it. But you're right. If he shows out in training camp in the regular season, he's a guy that could potentially be, starting, be a surprise rookie. But I like the People's pick. I think having a guy opposite, Matabike to be able to rush the passer, take those triple teams away. I mean, you should see him on film. He is getting double and triple team on every play. And when Travis Jones isn't on the field, it's almost impossible for Matabike to get the push that he did before his big time contract. So to get another premier pass rusher in there, maybe not premier, but somebody that can really get after the quarterback in the middle of that defense to go along with Travis Jones will really put some pressure away from Matabike and really give you the looks that you need. You're going to get single coverage against, I was saying single blocking schemes, I should say, going your way. So you won't be double teamed like Matabike will. If you're good at rushing the passer, you're going to get a really good chance to be successful with this defense. But I like your thoughts on it. When we come back, we're going to touch on, the Ravens in regards to what was said on ESPN regarding the rankings. There's a lot of rankings right now for positions where the Ravens fall in that in the top 10. You'd be surprised. I know one in particular, the quarterback, is getting a lot of attention on social media. We'll discuss all of this next here on Ravens Squad Show. Welcome back to Ravens Squad Show. Third segment of the show, we're going to be talking about the ESPN ranking, something that, a lot of fans on social media have had a chance to, talk about. And talk is a pretty lenient word. The word I'm looking for is, screaming on the keyboards, because some of the rankings aren't going very well in the Ravens' direction. Some are questionable. Some I agree with, actually. So, Kevin, I'll let you start off with this rankings, because there's some lists here that, are intriguing if you're a Ravens fan, for sure.
Yeah, we'll just run through them here, and I know that we'll talk about some more than others. So essentially, what ESPN does is Jeremy Fowler puts together rankings from executives, coaches, and scouts, and he does every single position. So from July 7th, which was running backs, all the way till July 17th, which is cornerbacks. You're going to have a ranking. I think it's every single day until then. Yeah. So the quarterback is the one, and I'll just read them in order here. Quarterbacks was the last one that has been released, so we'll do that. Derrick Henry was the number 2 rated running back behind only Saquon Barkley. I get it. Like, Saquon's a beast. That's one that, honestly, I don't really have too much problem with. Like, Derrick Henry is incredible. Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry both had insane years this past year. So I'm not going to, pick a fight about Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. That's completely fine to me. It's fine. Now, Matabike came in on the defensive line list at number 7, the ones that were rated ahead of him: Leonard Williams, Quinnen Williams, Jeffrey Simmons, Jalen Carter, Chris Jones, and Dexter Lawrence. I think kind of what you talked about in the second part of the show there, Sam, with Matabike getting doubled. Let me ask you that. Do you think that last year and him getting doubled a bunch and not really being able to build off of his year last year, do you think that kind of impacted his slide? Because I think, last year he came in at 5, and so he dropped 2 spots. Is that, do you think that his, down year quotes in terms of production is the reason for that?
I do, but also you got to realize, if you're one of the best players in the league, you're going to get double and triple team. I mean, Aaron Donald, I should say. I always say Aaron Jones. Aaron Donald got double and triple teamed a lot. He still was able to make plays. If you want to be regarded in that top tier, I know Aaron Donald's a Hall of Famer, but if you want to be one of the best, Jamar Chase gets double and triple teamed. All the great players get double and triple teamed. Coaches are going to scheme to stop you. Got to find a way to combat that. So I'm not going to put it all on the shoulders of the fact that he was triple teamed. Some of that goes to Matabike. Hopefully he finds ways to get, penetration despite, the blocking. But yeah, I think this slide is very much to do with the way that these teams, attacked Matabike last season.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you have to perform based off of the circumstances you're put in. Yeah. And, that it's a very fair point. Although I think that Matabike, hopefully having guys around him that will help him a little bit more than last year, just in terms of consistency. I think that'll be the big one here. Mm-hmm. Safety-wise, Kyle Hamilton, number 1, not a shock whatsoever. I think anything lower than that we would have had to have a serious conversation with ESPN.
Jeremy Fowler's door.
Yeah, well, I know, and for Jeremy. I know he's the messenger in this whole.
I know there's like other people.
He's like, wait. I didn't say it. It's the NFL. Wait. So I know it. So he is putting on a brave face by putting these rankings out here. So Kyle Hamilton, number 1. Tight end position. The Ravens had 2 top 10 tight ends. Mark Andrews came in at number 6. Isaiah Likely was at number 8. Sam, I know your stance because we've talked about it. You would have these 2 flipped, wouldn't you?
I 100% would. I want to see who's in the top 5 because I'm not convinced it's 5 better than my boys over there in purple and black.
So, all right. Number 5, Travis Kelce. Number 4, Trey McBride. Number 3, Sam Laporta. Number 2, George Kittle. And number 1, Brock Bowers. So.
That's crazy. Brock Bowers has the potential, but he didn't really prove it statistically, but I get it. Trey McBride, no. I'd still put, Isaiah Likely and even Mark Andrews over him, honestly. Mark Andrews led the league in touchdown catches in 2024. People don't, remember, I know that the drop and the fumble in the divisional round is what everyone's talking about, but statistically, he came back after, not performing in the first, few games of the season. So, I don't know. I still think Isaiah Likely is the best of the bunch. George Kittle, I think, should be number 1. I think he's just fantastic. Maybe he might drop a couple of notches. I'm glad Travis Kelce, people aren't using the Patrick Mahomes method. Oh, he's won championships, so he has to be, top 3. He's fallen off. This is the last year, most likely, in his career. But I still think Isaiah Likely, when it's all said and done, will be the better tight end performing this year. That's not really a knock on Mark Andrews because I do believe in 2026 he's going to get a contract befitting of how he is performance-wise and on the field. But I think Isaiah Likely, with the youth and his athleticism, is the better tight end. So I would flip those for sure and maybe have both of those tight ends bump up a notch to 5 and 7.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy part is that Mark didn't have a touchdown until week 6, if I'm remembering correctly. So, I mean, he was able to really turn it on late, and those 2 guys, I mean, it is a luxury. This is the last year of that luxury, in my opinion, but it is a luxury to have 2 tight ends like that on your team alongside all the other weapons that you have. Interior offensive linemen, right now, you have Tyler Linderbaum coming in at number 10. So this includes both guards and center. So Linderbaum came in at number 10.
I'll take it. I'll take it. He had a down year last year. But in his defense, look at who's playing on the left and the right. You got Voorhees / Patrick McCarry on one side. You got, Daniel Falele on the other. He's dealing with a lot. And half of the battle of being an interior offensive lineman is that synergy to have with your partner in crime to your left and your right. So I get the Tyler Linderbaum dropping a little bit. I still think when it's all said and done, he's going to be number 1 and number 2 as far as centers. Hopefully there aren't more than 1 center above Tyler Linderbaum in this list. If there is, then I'm having a serious problem. But to me, he's number 2 right now.
I do want to note that Linderbaum, so, this is obviously done with coaches, executives, and scouts. Linderbaum was rated number 1 by somebody. His highest ranking was number 1. So Linderbaum is getting some respect there, but others who he was ranked ahead or behind included Quinn Miners over in Denver. You got Joe Tooney, who's now in Chicago, Landon Dickerson in Philly, Trey Smith, Quentin Nelson, and then Tyler Smith and Creed Humphrey round out the Humphrey's a beast. I mean, it is what it is there.
I like it. Okay, I can deal with it.
Now on the exterior offensive tackles, Ronnie Stanley did not get in the top 10. He was an honorable mention. So there was nothing here. The 10 ahead of him, Andrew Thomas, Christian Darrisaw, Deion Dawkins, Laramie Tunsil, Rashawn Slater, Jordan Mailata, Trent Williams, Lane Johnson, Penei Sewell, and Tristan Wirfs. Do you think Stanley deserved top 10, Sam?
Well, past 2 years prior to this season, he was injured. This past season, he did enough to award himself a new contract. Do I think there are 10 tackles better than, Stanley? I don't think so, but I understand the trepidation to put him on the list because he did have, prior to that last season, a lot of years where he was either injured or underperforming or not playing at all. So, the mystique of Ronnie Stanley likely dissipated a little bit, but if he has another strong showing this year, I don't see why you would take him out of the top 10. I don't think there are 10 tackles better than him, but I get keeping him off the list, at least for this year.
I mean, I'm so proud of Ronnie. Even
Yeah.
if he isn't on this list, I'm super proud of him for bouncing back the way that he did. And it's been tough. I mean, his piece in the Players Tribune was one of the best pieces I've ever read in the Players Tribune, and that's not even me being like, "Oh, purple glass." No, like it was just legitimately every detail of what he went through was in there. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it because you really do, and you got an inside look about him. Feeling like he was letting his teammates down, letting the fan base down, and the burden that he carried. I'm so glad that it happened to Ronnie Stanley, that he was able to get back from that, right? The injury was unfortunate. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, let alone somebody like Ronnie Stanley. And I had the opportunity to have him on the show when he was injured. And he was laughing around. We joked about, he wants to score a touchdown as an offensive lineman. So I'm still on that because that was right after Robert Hunt did it. That was when they lost that Thursday night game in 2020. What was that, 2021? Or maybe it was 2022, but regardless. Ronnie and I were talking about that. He's like, Robert Hunt gets in the end zone. I'm like, do you want to do that? He's like, yeah, man, sign me up. So we got to get on that train there. But Ronnie, the play was elite, high level. And I don't think, Sam, anybody was talking about, Ronnie has to get back to 100% what he was as Ronnie Stanley. Get 80% Ronnie Stanley based off who he was more than enough for, I think, a lot of people. And he certainly got back to that point and then maybe some. But all right, now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. The quarterback position. This was the one that was released today. And Lamar Jackson was number one. And then we woke up because, of course, Lamar Jackson does not get respect. So Lamar Jackson was not one, not two, not three. He was number 4. You mentioned that Patrick Mahomes, he has the championships. Travis Kelce, that didn't happen with him. Well, it happened with Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes was the number 1 quarterback here. Josh Allen, number 2. Joe Burrow, number 3, Lamar Jackson at number 4. Sam, what were your thoughts when you saw that come across your screen this morning?
What is the criteria for this list? I want to know because it doesn't make any sense. Okay, if your criteria for this list is that, you have a quarterback that wins championships, fine. Patrick Mahomes, number 1, sure, I'll deal with it. But to have Josh Allen and Joe Burrow next to them when Josh Allen hasn't even sniffed a shot at getting to the championship. Joe Burrow lost the Super Bowl, and Lamar Jackson, even though he hasn't been to the Super Bowl himself, was very close to doing so. The bottom 3 are all in the same boat, so then you will probably have to do it based on quarterback play. But whatever. If you base it on that, then sure, put Patrick Mahomes at number 1. If you base it on quarterback play, clearly Patrick Mahomes has played the worst of the 4, and certainly Lamar Jackson has played the best of the 4. So I don't understand what the criteria is. Is it based on who you like the best? Oh, who played the best when your team played him? Is that what the execs were thinking when they made this list? Because certainly Patrick Mahomes, and I've said this all offseason, and I'll continue to say it until Patrick Mahomes shut me up, are the 4 quarterbacks on that list. And we all agree that there are 4 top dogs in the NFL right now: Burrow, Lamar, Mahomes, and Allen. Mahomes played the worst. The last 2 years, Mahomes has played the worst. Yes, his defense and coaches got him to the championship 2 years in a row, winning him one and then getting kerfuffled in the last game that we just watched against the Eagles. But as far as what he's done on the field, Mahomes hasn't played very well. We saw Allen defeat Lamar Jackson in the postseason, yes, but Lamar outplayed Allen in the postseason as well as in the regular season when the Ravens beat them by almost 50 points, it just feels like. And Joe Burrow has not won anything of significance since beating Patrick Mahomes with that defense that the Bengals came out of nowhere 3 years ago. So I don't understand what the criteria is. Very clearly, Mahomes shouldn't be number 1. But even if in some world you just convince yourself that Mahomes is the best quarterback, even despite the statistics and what you see with your eyes, to put Lamar Jackson at number 4 makes no sense at all. Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, number 1, certainly can't be the worst of the bunch. I mean, not at all. If you make it off of wins, Joe Burrow will be the worst. If you base it off the play style, in my opinion, Allen's the worst. But I just don't see a realm in which Lamar Jackson, who should be the 3-time MVP, by the way, with 4 interceptions and 40-plus touchdowns and 900 yards rushing, never been done in the history of the National Football League, is somehow the worst of the bunch. So it doesn't make much sense to me. I don't get it, but it's just more fuel to the fire. And it's going to be so sweet, Ravens fans, when Lamar Jackson finally wins a championship, because you could ask yourself, what now?
Yeah, And guess what? The goalposts will then be moved again because that is what happens. It always does, and it is just ridiculous. But you're right. It feels like the coaches, executive scouts wanted the best of all the worlds when you can't have it. Like, I don't know whether it was because Lamar didn't have anything to show for his 2024 season because Josh won the MVP and Saquon won Offensive Player of the Year, and it wasn't just like washed away. This guy threw for 41 touchdowns and had 4 interceptions. He had the 6th highest touchdown percentage in NFL history, and on top of that, he had 4 more rushing touchdowns and was the first player ever to have 4,000 passing yards over that and 900 rushing yards over that. Like, there were records being broken. You could argue we only had 1 interception on the season because of the balls that bounced off of his receivers' hands.
Insane.
He's gotten better every single season. And look, it's not taking away from a Mahomes or an Allen or a Burrow. Like, those are, as you said, Sam, the 4 undisputed top dogs at that position. And all of them should be respected and all of them should, be celebrated. But it feels like 3 of them get celebrated. And one of them's just kind of like, yeah, he's good. He's just, we're gonna throw him in because we have to, right? You got to with the stat. When it's not, it shouldn't be that way. Like, I don't know what it looks like for Lamar to get respected. I guess it is a Super Bowl championship because I think that the Ravens playoff narrative gets pawned off onto Lamar solely. Yes, Lamar has responsibility in that. He has not played up to standard for the most part. Not every game, because again, people don't want to talk about how he wins playoff games sometimes, but it's only the losses. In those losses, he hasn't been good enough in a lot of moments, right? The 2 turnovers against Buffalo in the first half were bad, but again, that's all that's talked about and not the fact that he was the reason why they had a shot to tie the game at the end of it with that incredible touchdown drive with you and I out there at wide receiver at the end. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's nothing new. And honestly, I wasn't shocked by it. And I think that's the saddest part to me is that it didn't surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me at all. But, he has to win. I mean, that's all there is to it in the postseason. When everybody mentions his postseason lack of success, I don't really focus on the play because I know, there are times where he does, perform poorly, but there are other times when he performs great. That's just the way the QB position works. At times, you want to see Lamar Jackson be Superman in the postseason. That time will come. That time was coming. I know for a fact it is coming, but we just have to wait and see for it to matriculate. Hopefully, it is this season. When we come back, the final part of the show, we will discuss our rankings that we had. If you were faithful of this show, the last episode, you saw us rank the position groups on offense and defense. We'll touch on that next here on Raven Squad Show. We are back here on Raven Squad Show talking about rankings. We just talked about the ESPN rankings, and you heard my little spiel about, Lamar Jackson and his disrespect, and Kevin gave his input as well. But now we're talking about our overall input. This is the real rankings. ESPN, be darned, Locked On has the correct rankings for you.
That's right.
And we have them here for you today.
Yeah.
Kevin, where do you want to start with? I'll let you.
Let me send you over. I realized that I did not format the graphics the right way, so I'm now sending you over the correct one. So I'm going to intro it while I do that.
Okay,
and
sure.
If you can just throw those in there for me, I'd appreciate it. But for those that missed it, last week, Hugh, Sam, and I, we rated our positional groups both offensively and defensively. So we went 5 through 1, and we started off with which positional group we thought was a little bit weaker than the other ones, and then we, obviously drove that all the way up to number 1, where we thought they were the strongest. Now, there were some controversial picks, mainly by me, I guess. Particularly cute and not like some of the ratings that I had at the number 4 spot. So we will get into that. But hey, the next time what we have to do is we just have to all be on the same page in terms of the criteria. So my criteria was depth and star power. I wanted it to be a little of both, to where I didn't want to just put quarterback number 1 because Lamar Jackson is the best player on the team, which of course he is, and he's the best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. But I didn't want to do that. So what I wanted to do was, also look at the depth of the team and say, hey, is there an opportunity to maybe give a position a little more love that might not have the biggest star but they might have a ton of depth. So that's where I went. So I'm going to send you. Let's do the offense first. I'm going to send you that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll send you that one right now. Yeah. I feel like, to me, the Ravens roster, though, Sam, this is the best roster that I've seen them have in the Lamar Jackson era. You know, we've talked about this, you and I, but I know that people, and Q's not here, and I will respect Q because he was a member of that 2000s team in that defense. And I try to say, Q, is this the best defense that the Ravens have had? And he said, and you know, he let me hear it.
He let you have it.
He let me hear it about the fact that he was on that 2000s team. But I think it's insane. You know, the star power they have, the depth they have. There really aren't a lot of holes whatsoever. We've talked about maybe they could add another safety or an edge or a guard or whatnot. But I think up and down 53, honestly, more than that. Like, their whole 90-man right now is pretty insane. They're going to have to make some pretty tough decisions. So,
yeah, for sure. Do you want to start with the offense first and get?
Yeah, let's do offense. So it'll pull it up and we'll kind of react behind the screen to it. But
all right.
And if you're in the chat with us,
oops.
Oh, you upload. Okay, yeah, upload it in the other media section.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if you're in the chat with us, share whose ratings you like the most and whose you don't. Don't be afraid too, by the way, right? Sam and I, we understand if you don't agree with us. I know, Sam, you had a controversial one in here too, not for offense, but
not for
defense, which we'll get to. So my rankings, I had tight ends at number 1, running backs at 2, wide receivers 3, quarterbacks 4, and offensive line at 5. My thought process here, ranking offensive line at 5, I think that the guard position is really the only question mark on the team right now. That's where I had it there. Quarterback at 4, again, Lamar is the best player on the team. He's the best quarterback in the league, right? I'm not saying that that's not the case, but I just, outside of Lamar, I'm not really a big Cooper Rush guy. Like, he's a better backup than they've had, but you know, that position kind of falls off. Wide receiver at 3, there are some guys that have to prove some stuff still in that room, but I like where they are. Running back, I love the 3-headed monster with Derrick Henry and Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell, and then I think the tight end room is the best in the league. So that's where I am. And I look, Jeremiah, I get it.
Jeremiah.
I get it. It's just the depth. It's not about Lamar. It's about the depth. That's where I am with that. But all right, Sam, you want to go and talk about yours?
All right, well, let's talk about my list because my list, I had the QB at 2, and I used a little bit of Kevin's criteria to make this decision because obviously Lamar Jackson is the best player in the league. That makes him the best player on the Ravens roster, but we're going off of not just star power, but depth as well. So I had QB at 2, tight end at 1 because, again, I'm very high on Isaiah Likely, and I think that Mark Andrews is still, in my opinion, a top 10 tight end. Wasn't much of a fall off between Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. When Andrews is unavailable, Isaiah Likely stepped up, and definitely that gave us the confidence in having Isaiah Likely here for years to come. But I still think that both of those two guys together, along with Charlie Kolar, everybody forgets about Kolar. Now, he's the third tight end in this group. This is the best group, I think, in football. So I agree with you, Kevin, on 1. Not so much on 2 because I had to run it back to 3. And that's because I think that there still is a bit of fall off between Derrick Henry and Justice Hill. Do the Ravens still perform well as a rushing team with Justice Hill starting their running back? Absolutely. But you lose that fear factor without Derrick Henry. Keaton Mitchell, we still don't know if he's fully recovered from that ACL tear. You assume so. And all signs that we've heard from both him and various sources throughout the media tell us that Keaton Mitchell will be back with his speed. But I just don't know if Derrick Henry were to leave, how much pressure that will put on the other members of this offense. I'll put wide receiver at 4, obviously, because I think that, you know, outside of Zay Flowers and Rashod Bateman, there isn't really much to go on as far as who can you count on in crunch time to make a play. We think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be that guy. We hope Talon Wallace has some magic. We think that, you know, they bring in some other guys via free agency and from the draft to complement these guys. But there really isn't a guy yet that has stood out as a third receiver. You know, we assume it's Hopkins. Could there be someone else that steps up? We don't know. And 5, I have O-line. I'm terrified of the guards here. I don't know if Daniel Falele and Voorhees will make that next leap. There is potential in there. We talked about the floor with these guys, but the ceiling is very high for both of these guys. Can they take that leap into the next level and become this powerhouse offensive line that the John Harbaugh and company envisioned? I don't know. We'll find out. They could be that team. We don't know. Besides Tyler Linderbaum and Ronnie Stanley, there still remain question marks, and this offensive line could be the reason that we either go to the Super Bowl or fall just short of that goal in 2025. Yeah. Kevin, do you want to talk about Kadri's, or you just let him speak for himself?
Yeah, no, we'll bring it up on Thursday again. We'll let Q say his piece about his. I don't want to speak for him. So we'll we can take that one off the screen, and then we can get defense rolling there. Because look, I think that for both of us, we love where the offense is right now. We are both scared of those guards, that guard spot right now. But Sam, if there's a quarterback that I trust to alleviate some of that and make something happen out of nothing, that is Lamar Jackson. So at least they have that going for him, because as Rashod Bateman said to Jess Rebeck, Lamar Jackson gets people jobs and he saves people's jobs. And he certainly, I think, has saved some offensive linemen's jobs over the years. But yeah, let's get into defense now to wrap it up here. So I'll do mine first. Again, this is a stacked defensive room all across the board, all three levels. I had to go corner number one. I think is the best corner room in the league. You have Marlon Humphrey, Jaire Alexander, and Nate Wiggins. I mean, you have to love that. Plus, I mean, the depth, Chidobe Awuzie you bring in. You have TJ Tampa, who I know, Sam, you and I both really like, and Q maybe likes him more than the two of us combined. I mean, he is all aboard the TJ Tampa train. But then you also have a couple of rookies who are competing. Is Jalen Armour Davis going to be a quarterback, a cornerback, or a safety this year? We'll see. I like the offense or the outside linebacker room a lot. At number two, I put them there. I just think the depth is there, in my opinion, where they're going to have a tough decision to make. I think that, again, Owe and Van Noy and Green make a pretty formidable trio. I'm really high on Tavius Robinson this year. I think he's my pick for breakout player. And then I think Adisa Isaac can make some noise for them, maybe as just a depth piece. I don't have David Ojabo on my list here just because I don't have him on the roster. Defensive line is at 3 for me. This defensive line and safety would have been flipped. We talked about this last week. 3-4 would have been flipped if our Darius Washington still was healthy, right? I think that at the end of the day, I just feel like with safeties, there isn't as much experience there, and that's where I flipped it. Malaki Starks, I expect to be great, but he hasn't played a snap yet. Bo Braden and UC Kane are both inexperienced and have potential, but we'll see. Kyle Hamilton is kind of like the Lamar Jackson thing, right? Kyle Hamilton is the best player at his position. He's honestly, in my opinion, the best defender on the team. It's not really a hot take. He's the best player on that defense. If we're doing that, safety would be number 1, but we're not doing that. So I put them at 4 because I think on an offensive line, I think Travis Jones is going to have a breakout year. We talked about Nnamdi Madubuike. I really like Aeneas Peebles as well. Not so sure on Broderick Washington, but, at least he has the years under his belt. And then inside linebacker at number 5. Again, Roquan Smith, one of the best players on this defense, but I worry about the spot next to him, which is not as big of a deal if you're not playing your base defense. You don't have to do that, especially without a surefire option there. But Trenton Simpson, Teddy Buchanan, those guys have to prove it to me. So that's where I am at inside linebacker number 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with your list. Number 4 is crazy. I think number 4.
It's always that number 4 spot. Number 4 spot's killing me.
Best player on offense, best player on defense. Number 4. But yeah, I get it. I'll start from bottom to top. Number 5, across the board, we all agree with you. Inside linebacker is definitely the one that lacks depth outside of Roquan Smith. Who do you really count on to play opposite him? You're right. There are going to be times when the Ravens don't have to play 2 inside linebackers. They do like playing that. But, because of the loss of our Darius Washington, you assume they're going to play a lot more 2 safeties instead of 3 safeties, which means that you're going to have an extra corner or, another inside linebacker coming in. So you want to hope that one of these guys steps up. Right now, that job belongs to Trenton Simpson. It could go to Teddy. Who knows? But right now, inside linebacker is definitely the weak spot on this defense. Then outside linebacker for me is number 4. We've got Mike Green, yes. You got, Odafe Owe, fine. Calvin Noy played well. You got David Ojabo, who may not even play. You got other outside linebackers here on this list, who could come in. And this, overall, the talent's there. But no one has stepped up to the plate yet. We haven't seen Mike Green do it yet. So I got to put them in number 4. But outside of that, there isn't a star player. We talked about with the quarterback position, Lamar's a star guy. Inside linebacker even. You got, Roquan Smith. Cornerbacks we'll talk about a little bit later, but you got Marlon Humphrey and company. outside linebacker, you got a lot of talent, but nobody's put it all together for a full season. So I'm still waiting on that one guy to step up. We assume it's going to be Mike Green, but we just don't know. So I'll put them at number 4. And number 3, a lot of the same with outside linebacker, except I'm more trusting in both Travis Jones and Madubuike. Peebles could be that other guy to come in, but we don't know for sure. But I still feel a lot more confident that they have Travis Jones for at least one more year. Travis Jones entering the last year of his deal. He could have another contract year. We're talking about Odafe Obe having a contract year. Travis Jones could be that guy to have a contract year that we're talking about in a couple of months. So I have them at number 3. And number 2, I was flip-flopping. Both you and Q have cornerback at number 1. I just like the safety position anymore. We'll talk about that. But, Jaire, Marlon, Nate Wiggins, TJ Tampa, Chidobe Awuzie, I could just rattle off names off the list. The most celebrated cornerback room in Ravens history for sure. At number 2, 100%. But can Jaire Alexander stay healthy for a full season? We just don't know. I'm not too worried about it if he does go down, because we mentioned we do got Chidobe Awuzie and TJ Tampa that can come in and be those boundary corners for the Ravens. But, I don't know for sure. And the main reason why I have safety at number 1 is because I think Kyle Hamilton is not only the best safety in football, but he's the best defensive player in all of football. And match that with the guy and Malaki Starks that I've been singing about since the end of the regular season for the Ravens. I'm just too excited for this. Darius Washington being down does hurt a lot for this group. But the fact that they were able to get Malaki Starks, the fact that you've seen enough from Sanusi Kane and Will Braid to take that next step, not only on the defense, but on special teams as well, something that John Harbaugh likes a bunch. I'm just very excited for the safety group. Darius Washington's injury will not alleviate me from putting the number 1 spot for the safety group. So that's where I'm at with it.
Look, all across the board, it's an incredible roster. I can't complain about any of this. I mean, the Ravens having inside linebacker at 5, 15 teams would probably do anything to have the Ravens inside linebackers. I mean, it is what it is. Roquan is that good. And, this Baltimore roster, top to bottom, we didn't even talk about the special teams unit. That honestly might be the biggest question mark on the team. If you're in that spot, you're in a pretty good one. So I'm excited to see what they can do.
There is a comments here. Tim Hughes says Teddy B is going to take that spot. Inside linebacker, he's spitting image of Zach Orr when he was playing. I like that take. Very much a great take. Jeremiah comes back, but the corners are so deep, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it is unreal.
Yep. And Darius could be back as well. I think he has a shot to be back.
Hopefully he can, yeah.
Yeah, but will he be the same guy as he was last year? Will he need some extra time to get back to where it was? Achilles injuries are very important for DBs especially, so I'm not sure he's going to be able to be that guy, but hopefully if he's even close to what he was, he could be, a piece that the Ravens could use moving forward towards the end of the season where it matters the most for the Ravens. But again, that's going to do us for here, a Raven Squad show, another episode in the books. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Remember, we are live every Monday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much for joining us. I see a lot of familiar faces here on the chat here on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe to this video. If you're watching, if you're listening on the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, thank you so much for listening. Continue to do so, but we are available live on Mondays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time for your viewing pleasure as you get ready for the season. For myself and for Kevin, thank you again so much for joining us. I appreciate Mark Clayton again for joining us at the beginning of the show, giving us his thoughts about the training camp. We're all very excited, and we'll have more from that on Thursday after the rookies have signed on to training camp and got things going. So again, I appreciate you guys for joining us here at the Raven Squad Show, and we will see you on Thursday.